Good evening and welcome, or it might be morning, or it might be afternoon, who knows, I don't know, and I'm on the show. Welcome everyone to Talking Force. That's right, it's the world's favourite collaborative G.I. Joe podcast where Talking Joe and Full Force come crashing together like them two gloves in Rocky IV, you know, the Stars and Stripes glove and that Russian glove where they go boom.
I'm going to have to put that in the video. So
yeah, it's a collaboration across the nation with devastation and celebration because we're on vacation at Christmas time. At Christmas time. At Christmas time. That's right, people, 24th of December when this episode's going out, so it's a Merry Christmas to all of the listeners across the globe of Talking Joe and the Full Force. And as always on these collaborative specials, I'm joined by my good buddy
Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic AT from the Full Force podcast, and of course Talking Joe, and now Talking Force.
Yeah, baby, Talking Force. Yeah, so this is,
you missed out. You did miss out. You missed out masturbation in that rap.
Of course. How could I forget?
I've added it now, so it's fine.
Good man. This is the second Talking Force special to go out. If you keen listeners and viewers out there will remember, and you should, we did a special before you even came on as host, a co-host of
before I was born.
Yeah, before you were born, and we covered the Action Force Weekly comic from 1987 into 1988. Which ran for 50 weekly issues. And on this particular show, we're going to be covering Action Force Monthly. I never read this at the time. You did, sir. You're a big fan of this. So
yes.
Give us a bit of background about this particular...
Yeah, okay. Well, obviously we just come to an end of the Action Force Weekly comic on February 1988 with issue 50. And only a few months later, we were back in the game again with issue 1 of Action Force Monthly in June of course, that same year. The first issue actually came with 3 battle ribbons and a mini poster, and I remember that vividly. I used to love all of the stuff we'd get in the comics. I know in the weekly comics we used to get some cool stuff as well. You even got the second issue with the first issue in the weekly stuff. Yeah. So in the monthly stuff, it only made sense that they would throw in some cool stuff in there. And obviously we got that cool mini poster of the cover with the Joes from that issue 1. Action Force Monthly, which was, I think, Leatherneck, Lady J, Roadblock, Flint, Sci-Fi and Footloose, who would actually appear quite often throughout the run of those 15 issues. The issues featured shorter stories than the Marvel UK Weekly that had come before it. Didn't really have long arcs. There was one very good, I would probably say 3-parter. There were a few really good, like longer stories that went over a couple of issues, but the story about Trent, which we'll get to later on, was an absolute belter. So it highlighted characters and vehicles that were usually available at the time on toy shelves, with obviously I just mentioned the character that wasn't on the toy shelves, which is hilarious. The run lasted 15 issues, as I said before, and came to an end in August of 1989, so we only got a year out of this, but it was a pretty solid year, and for me, this comic is one of the most fun, beautifully drawn, really well written for such short bursts of stories, of comic stories, and I just think had a really cool atmosphere and feel about them. I don't know how you feel about these issues.
Okay, well, we'll come on to that in a second, but first of all, I'm still under the weather. Can you believe it? This is 3 weeks now I've been poorly. I had 4 days off work last week, went to the doctors, they wouldn't even give me antibiotics, as I think I mentioned last time, and now I've got this kind of phlegmy cough, and I just cannot shake it. So I am going to need to crack on to beverage for the show because I need to lubricate the old throat.
Beverage for the show, do-do-do-do-do-do. Beverage for the show, do-do-do-do-do-do. Now I am gonna go, do-do, and drink my beverage for the show.
Sexy.
And what I've got here, glass bottle, which is loud in the house, that's fine. Belvoir Fruit Farms Light Elderflower Press, or do you pronounce that Presse? Presse.
Not a clue.
And the last E's got one of them little funky things across
Presse.
over the top. Presse. Belvoir Fruit Farms Light Elderflower Presse, gently bubbling with real flowers. And at the top it says 100% good.
Oh, good. That is good. Yeah.
Why doesn't it say 100% awesome? Anyway.
Well, it's not. It's only good.
Yep, let's have a go on this. It's a big 750ml bottle.
Oh, neck it. Chug, 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 chug.
Yeah, elderflower. I like it.
Nice.
What you got? You got one?
I'm switching it up. It's
I like it. Game changer.
no beverage for me on this one. I'm actually currently in the United Kingdom of America. No, the United Kingdom of England, and I flew out. When was it? Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. Got in Wednesday. I got in a couple of days ago, but jet lag has destroyed me, so I don't know what day it is.
And in fact, when this goes out on the 24th of December, we probably, hopefully, will have already met
And kissed. I mean,
and
yes,
kissed.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, so that's exciting, isn't it? No.
Tumbleweed.
Yeah, so basically I flew out. I was in Boston for a few days doing some filming with Boss Fight Studio, which was a lot of fun. And while I was there, I did pick up food poisoning the night before I flew. The day before I flew. So all day before I had to get on that plane, I was basically doing the squits.
Nasty.
And redecorating the interiors of toilets all around the eastern United States. But yeah, so thankfully my body dealt with all of that, and I flew over nice and comfortably. Thank you, Virgin Atlantic. And so now I'm in the United Kingdom, and I thought, we're not doing Talking Joe as such. We're just doing our collaborative double header. And I thought, I probably won't need a beverage. At the last minute, no, that seems to be the case. I need a beverage. But instead of having a beverage, I've actually got a snack. And I have gone for, and it kind of blows my mind because I didn't know it existed, but a vegan Galaxy Caramel and Sea Salt chocolate bar. And
what the hell?
I'm going to get stuck into this bad boy, see what it's like. So, yeah. You're what the helling, so you're not confident that this is going to be good?
No, I think it will be okay.
I'm going to try it. Here we go. That's gorgeous. Oh man, I haven't had Galaxy in ages. Oh, that's amazing.
And yeah, good one.
That's f***ing amazing.
Oh, the boy's done it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's my beverage for the show.
All right, okay.
It's like a chocolate mess in my mouth now.
Good.
Oh,
right,
that's
we got 15 issues to dig into, so I'm saying let's just do it. Let's dig in.
Yes.
If only we had a Action Force monthly jingle, but we don't, unfortunately.
We do, don't worry.
Oh, do we? Okay.
No, we don't, actually.
Right, so you've given a good background, a tiny bit more background. Very surprising to me that as a big G.I. Joe Action Force fan, I had never read these before this weekend just gone.
Yeah,
now,
weird. Totally weird.
I got those weeklies. I've got no idea why I didn't progress onto the monthlies, because what was the gap? Remind me again, between issue 50 of the weekly and issue 1 in this monthly?
February of 1988,
Yep.
June of 1988.
Okay, so there was a little bit of a hiatus.
Like 3 or 4 months, yeah.
Okay. But even then, when it got reprinted in the States as European Missions, is that
Correct.
right?
Yep.
I never got it. So, very weird. Thanks to Mark Seddon, I've borrowed his collected volume of these issues. I know these are a massive, you've said previously that these are some of your favourite comics of all time, if not your favourite series.
Yeah, I kind of lump the weekly and the monthly together.
Okay.
That all that kind of thing kind of goes together for me. They don't actually, in terms of continuity, they don't line up because they don't really follow anything on that's happened previous. But it doesn't need to.
No.
The characters obviously are still the same. Trent is still a character that carries over, so it's within the same universe, but there's no story tying it together. But that's again, doesn't really bother me on that. And that again, that they just feel like the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's highly likely I'll be looking for a new co-host after this, because I thought on the whole this was a big pile of junk. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I did not end. I will never ever read these comics again, I don't think.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
So take me through why.
I just felt the writing and the art on the whole was poor. I don't know. It didn't feel like the weekly at all. It felt very different. And I think this is one of those things where nostalgia obviously plays a big part. And there's a lot of things I like, that whether it be video games or movies or comics, whatever, that still hold a place in my heart of like, this is amazing. And even if other people are like, this is absolute rubbish, and I'm like, well, I almost don't see that because I'm still associating myself. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing here, but then maybe there is an element of that. And again, this is not me saying I'm right, you're wrong.
This is just
two different takes. But let's dig into them, and maybe I can elaborate a bit more about what's not doing it for me. So in these issues, hopefully people have been able to read along. Blood for the Baron. If you haven't, maybe pause now. Well, not now. Wait till I've finished this sentence. Go to Blood for the Baron website, and they've got a link to all the Action Force stories. Now, it does put them on the website in stories, not in issues. So you'll see there's like 40 different stories listed. Start at number 20, I think, because the first 19 are from Action Force Weekly.
Yeah, Double Bluff. Just start at Double Bluff and go on from
20
there.
is Double Bluff. So, and inside the front cover here, you've got a little mission control, which gives you almost a briefing for what's going to happen in this issue. 3 little panels highlighting the 3 stories that are on display. And also within these, we must say, they do some reprints from the weeklies.
Yeah, the Ancient Relics.
In this particular one, but then Gunboat, etc. as well. So this first one, Double Bluff, written by Ford Allen and Dan Abnett, and pencils by Dougie Braithwaite.
Yeah, and we've got like a hostage situation that the Joes kind of jump in and, deal with. You get Roadblock introduced almost immediately. Leatherneck and Sci-Fi also showing some cool stuff. And the Crimson Guard, who were basically taken out, quite easily. Hostage that gets saved. Meanwhile, another team...
Page 3, Roadblock's just gunning people down.
Yeah, it is...
brutal.
It is generally quite... the UK G.I. Joe Action Force and so on and so forth, the UK stuff has always been very brutal and violent. The Battle Action Force comics were insanely violent, and obviously, it kind of continues that. Like, it's not as constant and in your face, but that particular scene there, it's probably they probably thought, well, it's in the background enough to not be too, violent. But yeah, there's lots of that in and around the comics in the UK.
I think looking through this first story, just the art is so bad.
You're not a fan of it, okay?
I'm just not feeling it. It just, look at Tomax and Zaymot. I don't know. It just...
Well, I didn't actually. I think it looks pretty cool. I don't think it's Salmon's level. Tomax and Zaymot's hairstyles are pretty gross.
And I've just written 2 words around this story on my pad, and it says, "Don't understand." What?
So you've got effectively the Crimson Guard are being lured to the Action Force base, is what's happening here.
Yeah, but what's all this? What's the double bluff?
Let's go through it bit by bit. So you've got, like I said, you've got the hostage situation. They deal with that. Team 2 then are like, okay, there's a chopper coming in, turning away, must have warned it off, etc., etc. And it's Zaymot and Tomax. They know what's going on. They said the Action Force have beaten our team, but they haven't seen me withdrawing now. Cobra Commander will be displeased, yada, yada, yada. So you see the bluff was successful. We will find their base. So they bluffed the Joe team by, basically like drawing them out so that they could then find the Joe's base, okay, or the Action Force's base. So they ended up, we switched over to the secret base, and an Action Force are like saying, well, we're going to double bluff them by, luring them in and then controlling that situation. Which they do. They bring in like the bats. They take Footloose. They capture Footloose, and they get to the Action Force base. But then obviously the bats are taken out. Zaymot and Tomax are left to try and escape.
Yep.
But while they are escaping, they come across Trent's, the director of operations at Action Force. They come across his office, and that's where they find some information that they're going to utilize later on, and that's the Trent storyline that I thought was really, really cool.
And what's Zartan doing popping up at the end here?
I think that was just a little fun thing of, hey, look, Zartan's here, and he's also keeping an eye on things. It's just like a nice little cute thing. But anyway, it does link, because the Dreadnoks are brought into this particular plan, which comes later in the next issue.
I have given this one 5 out of 10. Just for those who are keeping track.
Okay.
Next one, we've got another story within issue 1, and this is called Double Cross.
I love this.
This is Ian Rimmer on script and Dougie Braithwaite again on pencils. I think Braithwaite does a better job on the art on this one. It's only
it's beautiful. Yeah.
It's only a little 5-pager.
What I found really funny is you've got basically 2 Cobra. It's Shipwreck and this kind of crew. They're basically raising this old German fighter plane or bomber. Because this doctor's with them, and they're testing out this new way of inflating balloons under the craft to raise it up, and Action Force are interested because they want to help. They want that technology to, get some of their vehicles out of the murky depths as well. So Shipwreck's along to kind of see how this thing works. They bring this German plane up, but all of a sudden, and Shipwreck and this guy go out to the boat on a little dinghy, but the other boat is boarded by 2 Cobra operatives who are dressed as Copperhead. So you've got Copperhead's uniform. One of them doesn't have his mask. I think he's called Thornton.
Yep.
So they have again, it's like another way that they always did this in the Marvel UK comics. They always made a trooper a significant individual character, and they do the same here. But Shipwreck calls them lampreys, which is interesting. Correct. So it's not, it's supposed to be Copperhead, but it's not Copperhead. They say they're lampreys, but they're in a different uniform. So I found that really funny that they'd obviously got their wires crossed on what a lamprey is.
Yep. And it's like a Nazi plane with a load of gold in it, isn't it?
That's why Cobra are there, yeah. So the actual ship, the actual plane that they're raising is of interest to Cobra because of the money on board, or the gold on board.
And then Shipwreck drowns them, basically.
Yeah, he traps them in the ship while they're shooting because he hasn't got a weapon, and then he deflates one of the balloons that's holding the plane up. It kind of sinks back in, crushing the guys with the gold and the boxes, and then Shipwreck's allowed to kind of leave and get out. And he throws he finds there's a dead body in there, with a skeleton and a Nazi uniform on, and he pulls the medal off him by accident when he's looking in the stuff, and he's got it in his hand, and he just throws it over the edge at the end. But again, I just thought it was a really cute little fast-paced, Shipwreck story, and like you say, the art's really nice, and I don't know, I just think I find it really appealing.
Yep, I gave this one a 5 out of 10 as well. That's the 2 from issue 1.
Yes.
Moving on to issue 2, we've got a Jeff Senior cover here, I think.
Yes.
Which is actually, let's just quickly talk about the cover to issue 1 because I think we forgot about that.
Well, I discussed it with the mini poster.
Oh yes, yeah, it's not ideal. Cover to issue 2 is a Rattler coming down and shooting at Snake Eyes and Hawk.
Yeah, absolute beauty. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good one. First story up here is Death or Glory. This is Simon Furman, obviously well known in the Transformers world, and obviously Action Force Weekly, and pencils by Brian Hitch.
Yeah.
This is what you were saying about a continuation of the Trent storyline.
Yes, so this is basically now that Xamot and Tomax have found out that Trent has a daughter, kind of important information that I guess would have been concealed normally, they want to, or that they hire the Dreadnoks to kidnap the daughter, and this story starts off with a letter from Buzzer to Trent, basically kind of explaining the situation, and it's almost like Buzzer's the head of the Dreadnoks when Zartan isn't in the picture, which is quite cool because Buzzer was, he was what's his name? Richard Blinken Smythe, I think his full name is, or Dick Blinken Smythe, and he, was supposed to actually be fairly intelligent to a degree for a Dreadnought in the UK. Side of Action Force, as opposed to the G.I. Joe dumb kind of depictions of the Dreadnoks. They're not all intelligent, obviously, but I think Buzzer's got and he was always one of those characters that was used a lot in the weekly comics, so obviously he pops up again here. He sends a letter to Trent saying, hey, I've got your daughter and this is how it panned out, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So basically it's all about them getting files off Trent, off Action Force to use against them, pretty much.
And Trent sends them on a wild goose chase, doesn't he, Flint and the people?
He sends Action Force well away from the scenario because he's told to by Buzzer, yeah. I
like this one a bit more. I think I gave this one a 6.5, and I think Furman, he's putting more sort of choices in or he's getting into the heads of some of the characters. So, Flint he's just parachuted in, and he's like, and though his trust in Her Majesty's government is complete, he must on occasion question the motives of those who give the orders. He's wondering about the orders he has been given, and is it what's really going on, and you kind of see inside Trent's head because he's now donning his old soldier's uniform and he's going to confront the Dreadnoks one-on-one, and it's a little bit more meat to this one, I think.
Totally, and I think that's the problem with some of the other that I guess you're struggling with, is the fact that the stories don't go on for very long and there's no time to really delve into the characters and all that kind of stuff. I think that's where we differ slightly, because I get bored with long turn arcs, and I think that's where we have in the past had that kind of difference of opinion, where I get bored in the same place but enjoy the, these little kind of quick bursts. I've always kind of found that quite interesting.
I don't mind short stories. I just generally felt that the quality of these ones was not good.
Sure.
But that's, again...
I disagree. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously Trent goes off to approach the Dreadnoks on his own. He takes a gun with him, though, even though they tell him not to. And when he gets there, he says, here are the files. They put the lights on him. It's all very like construction site set up. And he's got... I think I would love this as a figure to be made, a Trent figure. I wish like the club had done it at some point. That's not going to be happening now, obviously. But that would have been really cool to have like a, you could probably do it with existing figures as well, like, the build and everything. So that's a really cool figure, I think, with the beret. Yeah. Anyway, they throw the daughter to the ground and they go to approach him. See, he's got a gun. He opens fire on the Dreadnoks, considering his daughter's kind of out of the way. And then you see, which was quite interesting because you see a really heavy hit on Monkey Wrench on his arm, blood and all. Yep. Which is really, violent. Then Buzzard jumps in the one of the Constructicons and tries to run him over. And then, like, while he's injured and on the ground, they're kind of beating him up. And Buzzard says, "No, we can't kill him. He's more used to us alive," trying to be the intelligent one in the group. And then Monkey Wrench just comes barging in, blood dripping from his arm.
Yeah. Cham.
Yeah, and just absolutely obliterates him. And again, really dark. He's got the gun, the bullet holes in his chest, blood everywhere, eyes up in his head and everything. It's just...
That would have been probably a good end of the issue. But that's kind of... There are some more pages to this particular story, because then you go back to the Action Force dudes and, they've been told what's happened to Trent, and then they seek out the Dreadnoks, and you get a bit of a throwdown with some action scenes. Buzzer's trying to... Is that a chainsaw he's swinging? What's he swinging at Hawk's head there?
Yeah, it's a chainsaw, yep.
Okay. And then Flint manages to shoot the pilot of a Rattler through the head whilst it's in motion, which is an impressive shot.
Yeah, really impressive. Really impressive. That thing's going to be moving at pace.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's bearing down on Snake Eyes and Hawk, which is quite interesting because obviously they recreate. It's not a recreation of the cover, but like the cover is obviously more detailed. But you get that panel of the Rattler chasing them down and shooting either side of them, and then there's another scene where it's coming back and doing another strafing run. Flint sees it, and you've got Hawk dragging Snake Eyes, who's clearly been shot in the leg.
Yep.
And that's all bleeding, and he kind of Flint has basically, he's got Trent's beret badge like on him, and he looks at it and then goes right, and then just gets the rifle and takes out the Rattler pilot, and then boom, goes down. And then at the end he's like holding Trent's daughter, and it's all very like kind of made amends. Although I say made amends, but they're kind of blaming Flint for a while in this issue, and I always thought, well, it's not Flint's fault. He was following orders, and why should anything have been off about that whole reason? Like, there's nothing to be concerned about until they actually get there and see that it's all Action Force vehicles and not Cobra ones. So I thought that was a weird decision, that they all like vilify Flint, and he's got he's got something to prove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strange.
But I enjoyed that story, and it's always a harsh one with Trent, because I really liked him as a character in Weekly.
He was good. Issue 3, this has got a cover of Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes with a big flaming background. Yeah, it's not a bad one.
Yeah, it's nice. Again, quite iconic in the Action Force realm.
And then the first story inside is Old Scores, and this is actually written by Grant Morrison.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
With art by Mark Farmer.
I love the art in this.
Yeah. Mark Farmer is generally known as an inker. Did a lot of inking over Alan Davis, and a lot of other people did a lot of inking on Incredible Hulk. I think over Gary Frank maybe, or Dale Keown. Yeah, but he shows he has got some artistic chops here to actually draw the story. And this is Storm Shadow seeking revenge.
Yeah, from his time in Vietnam.
Yeah. And there's some old master who's got some guy in a Speedos as his
General
bodyguard.
Loy is the guy who he's seeking revenge on. Yeah. And Han is his big, sexy bodyguard in tight pants.
Yeah, it's kind of standardised Storm Shadow picking off goons, then taking out the muscle, and then confronting the...
Sorry, did you say he took out his muscle?
He took out his muscle, yeah. quick, sharp.
Yeah, and obviously, like one of his Nam buddies died at the hands of General Loyata, torture and all sorts. Yeah. And so he then obviously starts threatening this guy. And what I liked about it was the fact that he doesn't kill him at the end. He comes in and he's basically like, look, I can pretty much get at you whenever I want, live in fear. And the guy, you see him like picking the gun up as Storm Shadow walks away, and you think he's going to shoot Storm Shadow, you should have killed him. Or Storm Shadow's going to turn around and throw a ninja star and kill him. And he just goes, I can't live this way, I can't. And as Storm Shadow's walking away, you see the blam. Yep. So he shoots himself, which is really nice. And that last panel's really cool, that silhouette in the jungle thing.
That's a good one. I give that one a 6 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Any reason for not being a fan of it?
No, I mean, 6 is
Explain
okay.
your workings.
6 is okay. I mean, I say the art was quite nice. It's I don't know, it's not my favourite, but I don't know, it's just... I'm struggling to put my finger on what it is that's not doing it for me with these stories. I don't know, just maybe I came to it too late.
Maybe, yeah.
It'd be interesting to hear what the readers think. So after you have read these and listened to, no doubt, my incorrectness and Chris's spot-onness, let us know what you think.
No, not necessarily. I think you were right on the nostalgia thing. I think, obviously, that does have a lot to do with it. And this was like the prime time for me with G.I. Joe and Action Force and stuff, and just really loved consuming the media and watching the cartoon. And
were you reading other comics at the same time?
Yeah, I generally read loads of stuff as a kid, comics wise, whatever was on sale in the newsagents, effectively, and whatever we could get in and on order. Yeah.
All right. Next one in this issue, we've got The Cold Zone.
This is great.
Which is by Ian Rimmer on script and Jerry Paris on art duties. Now,
what didn't you like about this one?
I really like that first page. It's got kind of a claustrophobic vibe to it. He's drawing snow serpents, which is always going to be good.
I think they look great. Stuns look really cool.
In
Snow's
the first
really cool.
sort of like 2 or 3 pages, it felt very much like an American superhero comic.
Sure. Just
the way that he's drawing the characters, and then the fact that on kind of page 5, one of the bad guys dons like an Iron Man light, or it's like almost like an early Metalhead kind of costume harness.
You mean Chattel?
Yeah.
So yeah, he basically I always thought it was very Warhammer like. I always thought he looked like a space marine.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I thought it was so cool. And this story always kind of makes me think of those UK artists and UK comics because of that, that vibe that it gives off. And yeah, basically it's this Chattel guy is actually the big bad, and you don't think that initially. He seems like a bit of a nerdy dweeb. Yeah. And he's drawn the snow serpents to this place so that he can get his gear and basically just, show off what this stuff can do. And Snake Eyes obviously comes because of the snow serpent kind of situation, takes out all the snow serpents, and then Chattel, and again, this is quite a violent issue.
Snake Eyes is making some Malayan tiger traps or something.
Exactly. So he nearly kills Snake Eyes with the first couple of blasts, takes some of his costume off.
Yep.
Shame it wasn't around the groin area. I don't know why. And then, and injures Timber. And they escape into the snow, and he follows them, and he's got all this tech, he can kind of see their heat signature and where they've been. But yeah, you're right. Snake Eyes goes full on Arnie in Predator and starts setting traps and all sorts, and a bit Rambo, because Rambo does it in the first Rambo, doesn't he? When he makes that horrible tree thing that whips round and catches that guy in around the waist.
I don't think in First Blood he actually directly kills anyone, does he? I think he throws a rock at the helicopter, and the guy falls out and lands on the rocks and dies.
That's self-defense as well, isn't it?
I don't think John J. Rambo actually kills any characters in that.
No, he didn't. He even the guy at the end, he shoots him but doesn't kill him.
I've just watched this week Rambo Last Blood.
Holy
moly, he kills a load of people in that one.
Yeah. They just went. It went a bit mental after Rambo 1, didn't it?
Yeah. 2 was good. Anyway,
bit death heavy.
So in the end here, Snake Eyes is buried in the snow. Actually, in Rambo 2, he's buried in that mud wall. But he's buried in the snow. He comes up behind the dude, shoves him off the cliff, And then there's a brutal panel. He's fallen on these branches,
Tiger
sharpened,
spikes, yeah.
tiger spikes. And there's a brutal panel with his eyes open. And he's obviously got one through the neck or the chest or something.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But 6.5. I'll give that one.
Oh man, I love that. That's one of my favourite, and I'd love again. Chattel is another one that I'd love to see done in a action figure. 100%.
Issue 4 cover. Nah, not feeling this one. It's the whale, and you've got Cutter, Hawk, Wetsuit, and Sci-Fi. Is it?
Yeah, you're not feeling it. Any
just
reason?
Looks very flat. Just looks very 2D and flat.
Okay.
Who is on the cover duty there? Oh, it's Robin Smith and John Burns, and Robin Smith is on the interior art, and you've got Richard Allen and Steve White on pencils here.
I swear, if you diss the next cover, we're never friends again.
I'm just going to
zero friends.
Very quickly looking ahead. Okay, right, I know.
Zero friends ever again.
The Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. This is this one. This is this one. That's the name of this story.
This is this one.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so Action Force have been hired by, I guess, this freighter company to clear mines in front of an oil freighter. 2 Cobra Rattlers are dropping mines and end in and around because they're assholes, and they attack Action Force. Joes fight back, and they end up almost dying, but they're fine.
Yeah, it's basically just a big old sea scrap.
Yeah, massive sea and air
We've
scrap.
kind of seen it's like a poor man's version of that G.I. Joe issue where the whale again is engaged with hydrofoils. And there's rattlers attacking the bigger ship. Wherever I think there's issue 40 or 41, possibly, or even 36.
I will say that I like Sci-Fi as a character, but yeah, he's kind of a bit forced to be used in this one. I mean, I know he's shooting mines, but surely they can just shoot the mines with all of the weapons they have on the whale.
And Hawk takes a shot from the rattler and lives.
Yep.
I know it's a shoulder. It's just a shoulder
knocks
wound.
Him out as well. Knocks him out.
Yeah.
A Rattler is basically an A10 and modified drastically, but if it was an actual A10 that fired that, you wouldn't have an arm left. Let's face it.
Yeah, and you get quite a few movie quotes here. Wetsuit, game over, man, game over.
Can I say my favourite one out loud?
Yeah, go on.
I'm not going to bleep this because it's brilliant and it's genius, and I can't believe they got away with it.
Yeah.
On one page, he says, "Smile, you son of a," and as you turn the page, it says, "Bitchoom."
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got Aliens and you've got Jaws there.
Brilliant.
So that's why I marked it up. I'd originally given it
You can't mark it up for just 2 lines.
I'd originally given it a 5, and I marked it up to a 6 for those 2 lines.
I'll take it. It's okay. It's not one of my favourite issues. Or my favourite stories, I should say, because there is another couple of stories in there. One of the things I really enjoyed as a kid through this, and why I kind of enjoyed the comics, is because it felt like you'd always get more than one story. You'd always get lots of other things included. You get some reprints in there. You'd get, tack pages, and you'd get bios, and you'd get other stuff. So I felt, I always just enjoyed the experience. I would probably say. Yeah,
that's kind of a very British feel, and that was something that I did enjoy through weeklies, and even this I could see it carrying over, like you said, with all those extra things, which is a nice touch. We've got another story in issue 4, and it's called Betrayal, and things pick up here, and one of the reasons is because Kev Hopgood is on art. So we've got Ian Rimmer on script, and like I said, Kev Hopgood doing the pretty drawings.
It's a pretty cool little story as well for what it is. Dusty wants to quit. Flint's will explain to me why. He tells him this story about this woman that he'd actually I guess fallen in love with, but it doesn't actually say that really at any stage. And I want to say Krieg, or am I getting that confused with?
Julia Craig.
Okay, so because I'm thinking Courtney Krieger of CoverGirl. So this woman was part of the team in the Middle East where they were they were on a mission, and they're going through the desert. It's funny. Another interesting thing here, and something that happens quite often, is they've got loads of Dusties knocking about. They're almost like Dusty's uniform is like a generic desert uniform for grunts as well. So you've got a lot of Dusties in this, and obviously the real Dusty's there too. The Havoc that she's driving because cross country was on leave. I like that. That hits a landmine, and then Cobra just appear, literally take out everybody. Dusty survives because he was blown clear by the explosion. And then he realized when he gets back to the Havoc, he realizes that Julie is nowhere to be found. So he kind of goes, oh, I'm going to have to get on the recon thing on the Havoc and just gun it and follow the tracks. So he follows the tracks to this kind of like camp at night. He sees where all the Cobra troopers are, takes them all out. After the gun battle's done, he sees a body on the ground in a Crimson Guard uniform, and it is Julia. She was actually an undercover agent for Cobra. And I thought that was wow, like that was like a, you know, for such a short story, like, you know, such a short little burst kind of story. It was like, cool, they got a lot in there. And then Flint gives him like this talk, and then he's like, yeah, I don't want to leave anymore.
Yeah, packed a good punch, that story. I thought I'll give it a 7. That's the best one yet for me.
Interesting.
Like the colours as well. Colours are by Louise Cassell. But yeah, I thought it was a nice little punchy story there.
Awesome.
Issue 5, you have mentioned, I think you mentioned this when you were talking about the Tomahawk on the toy section of Talking Joe episode.
Yes.
This is the one where you've got Flint, Beachhead, Snake Eyes, is that Dial Tone?
Yes.
And Footloose jumping out of the chopper with a lift tick about to take off. And Footloose has got a wild look in his eyes there, man. Jeepers.
Hell yeah. I love this
even
cover.
Beachhead, even Lift Ticket, they're all crazed.
This is one of those covers that I get so much out of. Like it's the fact that they put the Tomahawk at an angle. You know, like it's coming in at an angle. The guys are jumping off before it's landed or before he's even, you know, he might not be touching down. He might be actually taking off. You don't know because of the action that's going on. You don't know what the situation really is. He could be coming into land or he could be taking off.
This is Jeff Senior. We should
just hovering. Yeah, totally. Flint looks cool. Beachhead looks cool.
Colours are
Snake
great.
Eyes looks cool. Lift Ticket looks cool. Dial Tone looks amazing. Like, I love that pose. And Footloose is just looking nails, like giving it the big un. And I love the fact that Footloose gets he talks in this story and he's from Dundee in Scotland, so it's like I kinda and all this shit, which is brilliant.
So that's the highlight of the covers for all these issues by far.
Best cover I've ever seen in a G.I. Joe or Action Force.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, big praise indeed. Just one storyline in this, and it's called Gunships. And it is Steve White on script and Robin Smith on art.
The Robin Smith art was something that kind of became a bit synonymous with the run. He did quite a few stories in this. And I have this like warm, fuzzy feeling when I see it. I know you're not a major fan of the style.
Yep.
But one of the things I will say is that he overuses wobble lines to the like nth degree. And I always thought that was so funny. Like, they don't even have to be moving. Like there's one bit when
I hadn't even noticed these. Now you've mentioned it, I'm literally looking at every panel and I'm like, oh my god, they're in every panel.
Look at Flint's like every time. If you look at Flint, there's one picture where Flint and Hawk, I guess they are walking.
Yeah.
But like it looks quite stationary, the image from the behind, and you've got wobble lines on Flint's beret and Hawk's shoulder, and it's like when you learn as a kid to do shading or wobble lines, and then that's all you do for every single thing afterwards.
There's a couple of good old boys have been shot down. Or they're stranded on an island, aren't they? And the Joes, or the Action Force, sorry, not the Joes. Action Force are going in to provide an evac, effectively.
Yep, that's true.
But there's cobras lurking in the undergrowth.
Yep, absolutely. They finally get through to them, and there's only 2 of them. One of them is separated from the group, and they don't know that Cobra are there, but they like when they say, are there any Cobras nearby? He's like, negative, no Cobras within at least half a mile of us. And there's like in
Under
the panel,
bush.
they're like literally next to them, which I thought was quite cool. I don't think either of them are aware of each other's. They're not aware of each other's. Like they don't know that they're there. I don't think Cobra know that the guys are there. Is what I'm saying. And and so
the panel. I'm on the panel now, which is effectively the cover, and the cover is obviously miles better than the panel that depicts it. But there's a couple of instances here where Flint says, the gunner's hit, and it's just a generic grunt. And then later, I think it's one page later.
Yeah, you're right.
Lift Ticket said, Flint, the co-pilot's hit, and it's just a generic co-pilot. They wanted it off a couple of guys, but they didn't want them to be full-blooded Action Force guys.
I mean, that's your standard issue Action Force move, isn't it, there?
Yeah. He's not even said Jenkins dead.
He's
just
but
said the co-pilot, the gunner.
We have killed Trent, don't forget, which is a pretty big deal in this run in the second, third issue, whenever it was he actually dies. I think it's the second issue.
Yeah.
What I really like about it is on the next page, Bazooka's firing his bazooka from his shoulder.
I don't like how he's holding that bazooka.
No, the exhaust would take his bloody arm off, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
He'd have the most hideous burns, but firing his bazooka like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and I think that again, like I do get the warm fuzzies when I see the artwork because it's, like I said, it's synonymous with the Action Force Monthly, which is probably why you don't like Action Force, Monthly, which is probably why you don't like it. But I am fully aware of its shortcomings, shall we say?
Yeah, yeah.
I do like that panel of Beachhead and Snake Eyes with the helicopter packs, though.
On their little helicopter packs, yeah. Big firefights in the swamp, shootouts, explosions, etc.
Oh, and that move where Beachhead grabs the Viper by the neck with his legs and pulls him off the ferret and then smashes him into a tree trunk.
Yeah,
thwacks
pretty
him into a
inventive.
tree trunk.
Pretty
I like
inventive
that.
stuff. Actually, there's another, as they're doing the evac, or the exfil, whatever you call it, there's another gunner inside the Tomahawk, another grunt.
Yeah.
So obviously there was more than one, or he didn't. He's not dead.
No, it would be another generic
okay
grunt. Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
And this is taking a page from the Larry Harmer school of wrapping up an issue in like one page.
Well, yeah,
because they basically just get on the chopper, Cobra's in the tree line, boom, boom, boom. They all get blown up, and then off they go.
Yeah,
Life's a beach.
Life's a beach.
Yeah.
And I really like it when Flint, he's like, let's move out. And Flint's like, Hawk, he's not on the chopper. And he's like, will you quit fooling around and get in, Flint? I think that's really cute.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say quickly, we are buzzing through these issues. If you haven't read them, you don't have them in front of you, I think Mr. Diagnostic, my buddy Chris, is going to be putting this up as a YouTube view as well, and he will probably be taking lots of screen capture or lots of page images and putting them up on the YouTube video.
100%.
100%. So if you're listening and you haven't got them in front of you, you might want to stop now and go and finish it and then go and watch it again on the YouTube.
They can do what they want. They'll have all options available to them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how we
do
it.
As little or as much as you want.
Yeah. I think I gave that one, just for the interest of people who are keeping count, Gunships, I gave that a 5. Oh dear.
I figured you would.
Action Force Monthly issue 6. Destro, how do you plead? Guilty. And he looks like he's got short arms.
Well, not really. I mean, they'd be bent, wouldn't they? He's just holding them.
Okay.
I get what you're saying, but like, I don't know. I didn't see it like that.
We've got 2 stories in this issue. First one, As Thick as Thieves.
Yep.
Mike Collins on script and Robin Smith back on art duties.
Want to hear something cool about this?
You can try.
So this was before the movie came out. So they were kind of told to do a lead-in to the Action Force / the movie.
Because when he starts talking about broadcast energy transmitter.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is basically done almost to kind of get the UK audience up to speed with who Serpentor is, and all that kind of stuff. So it was just a story to say, like, this is leading into the film. That's why you see Pythona. That's why you see the broadcast energy transmitter. And so effectively Destro's on trial. Cobra have got him on trial, almost like in an internal court-martial because of a poor assault on Burida Island, and basically the Action Force were there to try out and test the broadcast energy transmitter. Cobra get wind of it, they attack. Destro should have destroyed it. In actual fact, it wasn't Cobra that got wind of it. It's Destro that gets wind of it, and he does the attack. I apologise. And he doesn't tell Cobra. He doesn't tell Serpentor. He wants to get this done and dusted, and then he wants to present to Cobra and Serpentor, look what I did for you, and so on and so forth. So that blows up in his face when the assault doesn't go his way, and he ends up in court. So it's about like the court battle, back and forth, flashbacks with the actual, assault, lots of kind of action going on, lots of fighting on the beach.
I've got weird reprints here with pink pages.
That's weird. That's not a thing, so I don't know what happened there.
Okay.
It's probably just a mistake, an error.
Printing error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is odd.
It happens a couple of times, but I'll send some pics. You can include them if you want to, just to show what I'm talking about.
Hells yeah, totally.
You get the first of what will continue to be a theme of Destro versus Flint.
Yeah.
This crops up in several stories, and after Destro has shot Hawk in the back, no less, with a dart, isn't it? It's a sleeping dart or something.
Yeah, it's that one that's on his wrist.
Yep. They're wrist rockets, aren't they?
He's got a dart on one. He's got wrist rockets on the other. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
There you go. He's used the dart, and then Flint confronts him, and they have a bit of fisticuffs.
They kiss a lot.
Yep.
The bomb that he was going to attach to the BET ends up in the water and is done. And then they escape, and the Action Force are left thinking, okay, whatever. We'll get this BET out of the place. And then while Destro is appealing to Serpentor, as in I didn't do it behind your back on purpose. I was doing it. I was doing it for a reason, etc., etc. Serpentor starts daydreaming. Well, we think we don't know what it is really until we see the film, and then all of a sudden he's in a different place, and it's Python and not Destro talking to him, saying Cobra needs the broadcast energy transmitter, and just repeating that over and over again. And he kind of goes to touch Pythona's face and says, "Oh my God, you're the woman of my dreams. Whatever you desire, I'll gladly give." And then he kind of snaps back to reality, and he's touching Destro's face.
Yeah. This probably would have been a bit weird, I guess, if you hadn't seen the movie. You're like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, it was one of those things for me where I don't remember what I saw first, and I think the movie was probably out. So they probably just released them roughly around the same time. So, yeah, I mean, it came out in the US in 87, but we ended up getting it, I think, in 88. Or it might be 88 and 89. Right. I can't remember off the top of my head. In any case, we got it more or less a year later on VHS.
And the twist here at the end is that they've bugged the broadcast energy transmitter.
Yeah, but again, that leads in nicely to the film. So one thing I do want to mention is Python is in a completely different deco, which I find amazing, and I really want to do a custom of that, yellow and orange. She looks amazing. And yeah, like you say, he put a tracker on the BET, and that's what he says. He says, "Look, I know where it is, and it's here in the Himalayas." And then we snapped over to the Himalayas, which is effectively the beginning, not the beginning, but towards the beginning of the Action Force movie, where they've got the broadcast energy transmitter.
Yep.
And it's like a nice lead into the film. So it's almost like an accompanying story and intro to the Action Force film.
5 out of 10 for me for that one. Next one up is Killer Instinct, written by Dan Abnett, art and letters by Brian Hitch.
This one, I would have to say I'm not a massive fan of in terms of what happens in it, but it's kind of like, I don't know, the art's pretty good. I just didn't like necessarily. In fact, the art's really good. I like the art a lot in this, but there's not much really happens in it.
No.
And it's like a very quick story with not like a, I don't know. I'm not sure what the message is necessarily, other than this guy, he's at work one day, and then all of a sudden he witnesses this. You see, he comes out of his office, and this guy's getting shot, bang, and it's like, what the what am I seeing? And then he sees the killer, and you're thinking it's going to be a cobra or like a, whatever it's going to be, and it's Footloose walking down the stairs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's like, don't worry, you were in big trouble. He had a detonator. He was going to blow us all up.
And the guy's like, kill him.
Yeah. So, the Crimson Guard turns up then, doesn't he? And they're walking through the thing. Footloose takes the Crimson Guard out, knocks him out, doesn't have to kill him. And then this guy goes nuts, and he's all like, yeah, just kill him. And he's like, we don't need to, mate. That's the difference between, Cobra and us, kind of thing. And then that's like the end. And that's it. That is literally it. It's such a weird, quick story. And, that is one that I would probably suggest is odd,
Yeah. 5.5 for me.
Okay, that's you preferred that to some of the others.
I would rather read that than the previous one.
Okay.
Issue 7. Good cover here, actually. This is going to be my second favourite cover. This is Lowlight, effectively staring down the reader with his...
Beautiful. Another iconic one, yeah.
Gun, his sighter up to his eye. Big close-up. That's nice. Who's on that? That's Kev Hopgood on that one.
Of course.
And we got 2 stories in here.
Hopgood's on the art inside as well, isn't he?
Hopgood is on the art inside with Dan Abnett on script, and it's called Smooth Operators.
I like this one as well. I don't care if you hate it. You're a scumbag.
Yep.
Yeah, this is basically, you've got Lady J being chased by 2 Cobra ferrets. She has info, and she needs to get it to Lugacelli.
Good old Lugacelli.
Good old Lugacelli. And then obviously in 8 miles away in Lugacelli, you have, it's this kind of rich haven for, sexy haven in Milan, basically, quiet town kind of thing. And you've got Lowlight pulling up in a sexy vehicle without his, got his shades on. He looks really cool with his just civvies on. He's very, very cool. Cooper McBride, to give him his real name.
That's it, yep.
And Dial Tone is in a hotel. He's in there with a bunch of Televipers, that unbeknownst to the Televipers. And he busts open the wall to get a bead on all of the telecommunications and all that kind of stuff that the Televipers have set up. And he kind of attaches like this acoustic, what do they call it? Acoustic anti-surveillance ultrasonics.
That's it. And
it basically fries one of the Televipers who's listening in, which I thought was really violent and harsh. And then the other Televiper's like, well, I know where he is, so he gets his knife out and he's going to go and kill Dial Tone.
Yeah, the thing I liked about this is the Televipers are given a bit more to do rather than just being the dude who holds up the camera for Cobra Commander to see what's going on, for people to report to Cobra Commander. He's picking up a knife and he's actually going out to do a bit of stabby.
I think, again, these were characters that were available as toys, and I think they really wanted to sex them up, so that kids wanted to buy them. And in the US, I found it funny, especially the way Larry portrayed them, but also it kind of fit nicely. And you do get that in big organizations. Some people's jobs are so specific and that's what they do. And it's the same with Cobra. They need their mechanics and their administration and all that kind of stuff. They need all that stuff, and Televipers are telecommunications, so it kind of makes sense. But in this and in Action Force comics, they're always a bit harder, aren't they?
Why was Lowlight trying to get up into the high ground in the tower?
Just for a better shot, I think.
At what though? What? It seems very specific that he was sent on this mission to
shoot out the Televiper's box.
Yeah, I guess.
Because they're basically about to intercept the transmission, so let's face it, it's a very complicated thing they're doing for something that's very simple. But, I suppose it's a way of showing how cool Lowlight is, and then also get him in a position where he's strapping himself to the side of a building and like leaning out. I just think it's a really cool visual.
And Dial Tone strangles some dude to death.
Yeah, with his
big
cord, isn't it?
Yeah.
His massive cord.
Yeah, and that guy is brown bread. And then Lowlight, like you say, the Televiper, here it comes, I've got, hello London, transmission begins. Time's up. And blows it up. The look on the Televiper's face. How am I going to explain this?
I like that. I thought that was cute. And then all is good at the end, and they're all, great, we've done that. Should we f*** off now?
Yeah, 6.5 for me.
Okay.
We get one more story here. This is Mark of the Assassin, Ian Rimmer, and we've got John McCrea on pencils. John McCrea, who did a lot of work on Hitman for DC.
I think the art's gorgeous on this,
amongst other stuff. But
you hate it though, right?
The Demon he did. This one, let me see what I did it quickly. 6.5.
Okay.
6.5.
I thought it was cool. I thought like Storm Shadow looks really bad. They always draw him really cool in his old uniform. Like he looks way better than his action figure suggests. But yeah, I love the detail on his sword, on his sash and like the buckle and all that kind of stuff. There's so much detail in there for what is a, like I said, short kind of throwaway story.
Yeah, it's kind of just a simple assassination, isn't it?
I love that he gets on the bottom of that car, and then when the car moves away, he's like there like friggin' Spider-Man or something. It's just so neat.
Yeah, I think I like John McCrea's art, so that's a good appeal for me. There is a twist, obviously, and I'm surprised he didn't spot it. And it's that when
he does spot it.
Does he?
Storm Shadow does. The whole point is the whole storyline hinges on an anonymous tipster.
Right.
The anonymous tipster is Storm Shadow.
I didn't get any of that.
So effectively, it's like the anonymous tipster was Storm Shadow because he didn't want to do the mission in the first place.
Right.
So he anonymously tips off Action Force that there's going to be an assassination attempt.
And so they dress up
Dial Tone
in the guise of a fake rubber
suit
mask of the actual mark.
Yeah. Because the thing is, like in this story, he is a bad guy, but I think they were probably moving towards the same thing that the Americans were with Storm Shadow becoming a G.I. Joe member. So with that kind of way they were moving with it, they were probably starting to make motions in getting Storm Shadow into a different position. So basically what I'm saying here is that he's the anonymous tipster.
Yep.
Action Force come in. He knows what he's doing. He's not, if an assassin, he's going to make sure the guy's dead. 1, 2, he's going to shoot him in the head. 3, he's going to do something else. Like, he's not just going to fire an arrow in the guy's heart and hope, and then walk away. So I think, like on this one, he knows who it is under the costume. He knows someone's in a costume, and he just goes for the least dangerous thing. Everyone thinks Storm Shadow's fallen for it, and they put out the news that the guy's dead, and that lo and behold, it comes round and they say, any news on the real hero, the mysterious caller who tipped us about the attack? Not a thing, dial tone. Next panel. I guess we'll never find out who it was. And you've got a big picture of Storm Shadow's face. I don't know how more obvious that could be.
Yeah. Anyway, 6.5, I liked it.
Okay, cool.
And in the back of this issue, we've also got reprints for Gunboat here I've got, which is from the Action Force Weekly.
Yeah.
And just flicking through these pages makes me think how much I preferred those weekly stories to these monthly stories.
Sure.
Even though a lot of the creative teams were similar. So I'm not too sure, still why. I don't know. I think the scripting and art were definitely better in those weeklies for me personally. Issue 8, cover, Snowcat with Destro and Flint. Looks like it's going off a cliff.
Yeah.
What would you like for Christmas, Flint? An ejector seat, a parachute, wings.
Yeah, cool, dynamic, fun, interesting. How's this happen? How are Destro and Flint together?
Yep. Nuclear Winter. Script Steve Allen. Art
It's got
by
hang on.
Smith.
It's got snow on the logo. You forgot that.
Snow on the logo of Action Force.
Yeah.
Tying in with our Christmas theme.
Well, it's the Christmas. This was the Christmas issue, so it was out for Christmas.
Ah, there you go. That's why then.
And I'm just saying, like, it's cute. You should mention it.
Yeah. All right. Well, done and done. Yeah. So how did Flint and Destro end up in a snowcat together? You'll tell us.
An airplane crashes in Greenland. It's important, as it always is. Flint goes to find it in a blizzard, but with Iceberg. Not to confuse you, it's not Blizzard the character, it's Iceberg the character. Yes. He and Destro have to work together to survive because they... basically what happens is another Cobra attack. The two of them get separated from the group. They end up going on like this mission where they're like, he's chasing Destro down. One of the snowcats gets damaged, and Destro and Flint decide, okay, well, to survive this, we're going to have to work together to get out of it. Eventually they find the plane together, and also a really cool moment, Flint sees Destro without his mask, and then he knocks Flint out, and then...
How does his mask come off, though? I'm just looking at that. He
punches him, or smacks him with something,
They've got each other's hands around their throats, and then...
He swipes at him, he hits him with something.
Yeah, and his mask falls off.
Yeah,
and Flint
like the front part,
Flint is, at this point, the next panel, Flint is like, huh? Kind of thing. So what are we led to believe at this point in time? We haven't seen in the US comics what Destro looks like, which is obviously just a normal human being. But here, are we still under the guise of he could be a disfigured man?
Well, okay, so this is my theory. Now, because this is Marvel UK, and they would have led on from, the previous issues, and they would have led on from the Battle Action Force stuff. So there's these guys, the creative teams would have been aware of the previous stuff, and that's probably like, I don't know, maybe floating around. Red Jackal was Destro in that, and Red Jackal became Destro in the Battle Action Force comics.
Yes.
And Red Jackal was a cyborg, so he was an original originally he was human, then ends up getting rebuilt into this kind of like cyborg, and so you're kind of umming and ahhing as to whether it's layover from that, or it could just the whole point is to make you think, what the is it? And that makes it like 1,000 times more interesting. It's like the mystery, like I've always said with Snake Eyes, like I only prefer Snake Eyes stories when he's masked, because it's more interesting. You don't know what's going on there. There's a mystery to it. As soon as all that's revealed and he's walking around without his mask all the time, I turned off. I was like, I'm not that bothered anymore about Snake Eyes. He's not interesting to me anymore. So the beauty part of this was they were always doing that in the UK comics. They were always like, it's a reveal to someone, but never to the reader. and you're like, oh, what could it be? This is so cool. So I don't know. I just think it enhanced him more than anything, and we're not led to believe anything. But it could, it could be someone Flint knows, but it's doubtful because he doesn't do much afterwards. It's not like there's it ever comes up again necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like Flint is like, contemplating, my brother or whatever. Yeah. So it's
I guess it
more
just leaves the door open, doesn't it, to be whatever you want it to be.
Exactly.
Anyway, Destro stumbles onto the downed plane that they're after, and there's a message on the computer from this dude, Alec Peter Gilmore.
The late Alec Peter Gilmore, I presume.
And he takes his own life.
Yeah, so...
Or he has taken his own life.
Yeah, it was more kind of stuff that they wanted. It was like the Omega classification, whatever it was, and Destro wanted it. So he goes to try and, get it. Unfortunately, everything was destroyed. The pilot was killed, and then he killed himself so that no one would ever get the information, because he was the only one that knew about that information. So,
and then last page, they're all just laughing with each other, and then real sinister. Then Flint clocks him right on the head with the shotgun.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, lovely
Brutal.
stuff. Yeah.
What did I give this?
It's kind of more Robert Smith art, so it's got that Robert Smith vibe going on.
Six I gave that.
Okay, with so many wobbly lines, it's remarkable.
Whoa! It's an Action Force pop quiz. It's an Action Force pop quiz. Question 1. I've got a TAC page here, which I forgot what that stands for something. Tactical...
Tactical Arms Compendium.
Yeah, that's what I said. Code name, Iceberg. File name...
Iceberg's file name.
Do you have these issues in front of you?
No.
Okay.
Iceberg's file name... No, I can't remember it.
Clifton L. Nash.
Clifton L. Nash. I did know that.
Primary military specialty.
It's going to be winter operations.
Is that what you're going with, winter operations?
I think winter operations is like secondary.
Okay, what's secondary is cold weather survival instructor.
Oh yeah, okay. So like they're all infantry usually.
Primary military specialty, infantry.
Yeah.
Place of birth. Want to give a hit on that?
Yeah, it's in the States. I think it's Texas.
It is
I don't
Texas.
know where.
Brownsville.
Yeah, that's it. Because he hates cold weather.
No.
Or he loves cold weather, but he's in Texas. I can't remember which one it is.
If there's one thing Iceberg hates, it's hot weather.
Hot weather. That's okay. Yeah.
But fair shout. I think you did okay there.
Thanks.
Rest of the issue is taken up by Gunboat. Let's move on to issue 9, 60 pence of your hard-earned money. Ice Spy with My Little Eye, and it's cover girl on the front, scantily clad in front of a big diamond, holding a massive gun.
Yep.
The diamond's not holding the gun, she is.
Yeah.
This story is called Diamond Lies, written by Simon Furman. Pencils by Robin Smith.
Yes, again, got that Robin Smith vibe.
Yep.
This one I really like because it introduces a character that, again, we don't see again. It's a one-hit wonder, and that's Weaponsmith. And he's basically created this gun, or this high-powered laser, powered by diamonds, which is hilarious.
There's one panel of him holding it, and it's just rammed with diamonds at the top.
Yeah, with the snake on the snake head thing. Yeah, it's
amazing.
Wicked. So what I want to say about this is I just went to CoilCon recently.
Yep.
And at CoilCon they had a 12-inch exclusive custom figure that they did. Did lots of them, and then they sell them as show exclusives. And it was the 12-inch Weaponsmith. He had They had a coat custom made, trousers custom made, and a shirt with the CoilCon logo on it underneath. It's beautiful. I'll sort pictures out and stuff like that. They also got Raging Spoon to cast an original Stone Killer 12-inch scale, and it is absolutely perfect. It's beautiful. It's even got the sparkly diamond things inside the mouth of the snake. It's brilliant. So yeah, they went all out for that, and it is brilliant. So this story's it's all right. It's fun. It's like again, quite action packed. A little bit longer than some of the other issues.
It's another one of these ones where it felt very US superhero-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
The bad guys, obviously Cobra, but you feel like it's a little sect. This is what I kind of liked from the Action Force Weekly, whereas Cobra was the main threat, but there were side pockets of Cobra doing stuff. And here it feels like this is another one of those Weaponsmith with his kind of probable own band of Crimson Guard. They're doing diamond heists because they need the diamonds to power his new weapons he's cooking up.
And he's a big fella, isn't he?
Yeah.
Built.
Yeah.
So yeah, and obviously like Courtney Krieger, aka CoverGirl, she is undercover as a model. That was her previous job, and she even moans about it. She says, I thought I was done with all this crap, and now they've got me out here doing this. And effectively she's bait. She gets captured because she's got the biggest diamond in the world. She's wearing the biggest diamond in the world as like a publicity stunt, but also to lure them in. That's exactly what happens. She's captured. She thinks her cover is still intact, but he knows exactly who she is. They end up at a windmill, and she's kind of like tied up. And the Joes have been trying to kind of like have been chasing their tail pretty much the whole time, and the Cobra guys have been ahead of them every step of the way. And they're gonna kind of like again lure Action Force in to save CoverGirl, who's like tied up, very damsel in distress crap.
Yeah, because they got there's a tracking device in her necklace, isn't there?
Yeah. And he realizes that, obviously. And when they get there, he's got the Stone Killer, and he, nearly kills everyone, but doesn't. Takes them out, kind of keeps them at bay. Flint is like, absolutely. He's got his knife out, but like most of his clothes have been burnt off. Yeah. And he kind of unties CoverGirl, and they get out of the windmill as it kind of blows up, or a part of it blows up. Oh no, I tell a lie. That's not blowing up. It's on fire. But then
this weapon, it's not actually doing much. Well, it is blowing stuff up, but it's
yeah. And so he shoots at them, nearly takes them out. Flint instructs Wild Bill to fly in close and try and take him out, and that gives him like a moment to run out, grab him. He drops Stone Killer on the ground off the top of the windmill. They're having a fight on top. Flint gets away by grabbing onto the ladder of the Dragonfly and flies off. And then Weaponsmith's there, like, standing alone on top of the windmill. And he looks down, and CoverGirl's got Stone Killer and just goes...
basically blast that mother to Kingdom Come.
Seems to work to me there. Literally damns him into Kingdom Come.
Yeah. 5.5 I gave that one.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Yeah. Just, I don't know, felt a little bit cheesy, I don't know.
Yeah, there is. But again, like I think I like it for other reasons, and one of the reasons being Weaponsmith, Stone Killer, and the fact they've made that as a custom figure now is brilliant.
And then to tail off this issue, I've got Cut and Run from the Weekly, which is amazing. Go check out that story. It's all there on Blood for the Baron. We covered that in our first collaborative special, so that's a great story.
Yep.
Issue 10, on the front cover, we've got Snake Eyes in the middle, flanked by Beachhead and Sci-Fi. Bit cartoony.
It reminds me of Turtles. It looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Great
Adventures
shout.
cover.
Good shout. Good shout there. Three of a kind. And we have got the first story in here is Blood Brothers. Ian Rimmer on script, Stuart Johnson on the pencils. This is a little short 5-pager, and this is another one of the ones where it concludes, and you think, okay, maybe these kind of subplots are going to get picked up elsewhere, because he's the surviving brother of a Crimson Guard, kind of gets turned over to Cobra by the end of it by the Crimson Twins.
Yeah, so it's a quick and easy kind of thing. Like this guy goes into the bank one day, he works at the bank, and it lo and behold, he's actually a Crimson Guard, and he's actually going to rob the bank for Cobra, and then just get out, kill, sort everyone out and leave. But
quick apologies. I said I gave that last story 5.5. I actually gave it 6.5. I was looking at the score for this story, which is a 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5. Okay. Spoiler alert. It's quick, forgettable kind of thing. But he goes to rob the bank. He realizes Hogan is still in there, the security guard, and he gets out, tries to shoot him, doesn't succeed, and Action Force are in place. And it's like, well, actually, it's quite a weird one, because all of a sudden Action Force are just there, or Beachhead's just driving past and sees it happen in an Ore Striker. So it's all like the worst possible scenario for this Crimson Guard has just happened across the board. So anyway,
and he gets ambushed at the top of the building, Beachhead, by the Crimson Twins.
Well, yeah, they find this guy obviously goes back and retreats into the bank. He's taking hostages. They find out that he's got a brother. The brother comes in and they're talking to the Action Force guys, and he's kind of saying, I can believe it. I can believe he's a Crimson Guard, honestly. And yada yada yada. But he says he thinks he can talk him out of it, and and Action Force go, okay, well, we'll do that. Beachhead's like in a sniper position. The Crimson Twins are kind of lurking, walking up behind him, and then you see them coming out, and the Crimson Guard has given up, his brother's given up, and they're walking out together. And obviously, Xamot or Tomax have taken control of the gun. They shoot him dead, and his brother sees like this Crimson Guard die. And Hawk's saying, "Oh my God, Beachhead! You know what are you doing? He'd given up, damn it!" and all this kind of stuff. And you can see, I do love the face. Yeah. It's like it looks like Beavis or Butthead. I can't remember which one he looks like. Maybe Beavis. He looks a bit Beavis-like there. Yeah. But he's like it's in a mixture of anger and he's in the middle of crying.
And there's
it's
a chalk
amazing.
outline in the next one.
I love that as well. He's dabbing.
Yeah.
He's actually dabbing in that. I love how it is mimicking the pose on the other panel.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. So
it's brilliant.
Face down.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So and then obviously the last panel is Xamot and Tomax coming around saying, "Hey, we saw what happened. We think we know how to get back at them." And you can see he's like, "I'm interested to come in." So the brother is being turned to Cobra because of this plot to defame Action Force here and Beachhead. Yep.
Like I said, 5.5 for that one.
Yep.
Anyway, it's an Action Force pop quiz. It's an Action Force pop quiz. Question 2. I've got another intelligence profile. So the first one was an attack page with Iceberg. It was obviously an intelligence profile. Code names, Tomax and Xamot. File name.
They don't have a file name.
Correct. Classified.
Yes.
Specialty. They've got 1, 2. The second one has got brackets.
I remember
3,
this one.
4, 5 specialties.
Okay, I know that one of them was like law. It's like kind of one of the different
corporate law.
Yeah, that's it. And then the other ones are kind of like all the ones you expect. Like espionage is one, I'm sure.
Espionage, yes. And this one has brackets: military and industrial.
Other than that, I'm guessing sabotage.
Sabotage, correct.
And I don't know the other ones.
Propaganda.
Oh, nice one.
And infiltration.
I never would have. Yeah, I wouldn't have got those two.
Place of birth.
Oh, it's like it's not Italy, but it's like one of the it's like islands, isn't it? Like Sicily or something.
Well, it says Corsica or Sicily. Choose.
Yeah,
you choose.
Right. Cool. Got one of them.
Yeah. And right, okay, moving on to the next story. Bats Out of Hell. Ian Rimmer script, John Marshall on pencils. This is to do with something about London Bridge and the bats and have got bombs, and Sci-Fi has to do something. It's not good.
I like this. Okay. I don't know why. Are you in a bad mood? I don't understand. No. I don't get it. Like I don't find any of this as offensive as you do, and I don't know what it is about it that you find so bad.
Well,
like,
let's let the listeners and the viewers tell us who is more correct. There you go.
I'm waiting for the listeners to tell us.
Yeah, tell us now. In fact, we're going to have to wait because this is not coming out for another 8 days. Because we are in the past or the future or the present, as always.
So the bats are basically protecting a bomb that's going to take out the bridge unless prisoners from Cobra are released. Yep. And Action Force are on the scene. Obviously, they can't do anything about it. If they try and approach, it's going to blow the bridge. If they try and destroy the bats, it's going to blow the bridge. So like you can't do anything. So the bats are like connected with these wires, and they're around this van that obviously got a bomb in it. And they have to call in Sci-Fi, who's on a different mission elsewhere. So they fly him in, but they keep complaining because he moves at a snail's pace, and it's basically he's more about being careful than he is about rushing.
Yeah, that's the gimmick of this story. The gimmick of this story is he is a slow individual, and everyone else around him is rushing around being fast.
They're trying to rush him to get in there, so they rush him to the airport. Ace is trying to get him in the Sky Striker fast, and he's moaning at him, and they're having and then he falls asleep in the Sky Striker when he says you should be like ready to go and all this kind of stuff. And then he gets in the Dragonfly, and Wild Bill's like, come on, mate, you should, we've got to get this stuff sorted out. And he's like, I don't rush this stuff. Like I have to take my time with it. It's a laser. Like if I'm dangerous, I move around with it too fast, then it's useless. So and dangerous. So he finally gets to where he needs to be. Wild Bill lowers him down onto a roof of a church near, from a distance, kind of thing, nearby, I suppose. And then Sci-Fi then has to take out these wires one by one. so that because they're also, I think the bats are also detonators, I think they say, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bats are detonators. So this timer is going off and they've only got a few seconds left, and he shoots the first 2 cables, but he has to kind of like cut through them. He can't just fire and shoot and take it out. He just has to cut through them. And then the last cable, the bat has moved in his, like, he can't see because the bat's moved and he can't get at it. But where the cable's like intertwined close to the van, he has to make a decision on which one to shoot. And he gets the right one at the last second. And he's like walking off going like, yeah, it's easy, whatever. And Hawk's like apologizing to him for losing his cool or whatever.
Yeah,
and
I think that's one of the... I think we're getting to the crux of some of why I'm not into these is the characterization of the characters just felt off a lot of the time. Like, okay. Hawk is just shouting at him, "You got 30 seconds to find it again, or I'm going to come up there and fry you with your own laser." Just doesn't feel like something Hawk would say. And again, I came to these obviously after I had a pre-described notion of what Hawk should be and what he's doing, whereas maybe you came into these and that was your version of Hawk.
Yeah, my version of Hawk is like it's whatever I'm given. Right. You know, it's like the cartoon, it's the comic, it's whatever is out there. You know, it's like that's just what it was. I don't think you read into it that much as a kid, and then and even now where I'm looking at it now, I can see what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying, but it's not ruining my enjoyment of that storyline. Like that. Like it just makes Sci-Fi really cool to me. I thought Sci-Fi is actually really cool, and he's just cut some wires, and it's a cool way to get him involved. I don't know. That's how I come at it from.
Yeah. Okay. Next one up we've got is War Correspondence. This is another not a good story for me.
Why not?
The art is bad, man. This is Andy Wildman. It's some of the worst art he's ever done.
I am so confused right now. Like, I don't know what to say, mate, honestly. Like, I'm actually quite depressed because it feels like, what's the point in doing this show? It's, like, really sad. I thought this is, like, one of the coolest stories ever. And again, this is one of those things where it's fun because Snake Eyes gets his mask pulled off and it's like, holy shit, they've seen Snake Eyes' face and it's all and deformed, but we still haven't because it's mysterious. And
why did he burn the negative slide?
Because he doesn't want anyone to see it.
Why not?
Because it's too horrible, too horrific.
Right. Well, he's a war correspondent then.
Okay.
But there's a bit here I don't get it. Flint's holding the top secret documents, and then a couple of panels later, Ripper's got them. But
they drive up and take him.
Where does that happen? I don't have that panel. I have Flint holding them. Next panel, Snake Eyes is saying, "Let's get after him," and then Snake Eyes jumps onto the Thunder Machine where Ripper's holding it.
No, it's basically Ripper steals the mission briefing. He steals it off him.
What's Flint holding that says top secret then?
He's taking the papers.
Oh, he's got the jacket.
That's the folder.
Flint's holding the dust jacket.
Yes.
Right. Okay. All right. It's really, really not clear. Snake Eyes shreds the documents in the afterburner jetpack thing on the Thunder Machine. Yeah,
they give chase in the Ore Striker. He kind of like jumps onto the Thunder Machine. I thought it's really cool. For like Ripper's like, what the grabs them, runs to the back of goes to the back of the Thunder Machine as it's driving, burns them all off. Ripper chases him out, grabs him by the throat. They have this little tussle. They fall off the Thunder Machine, and then in the fight, he kind of flings him over, but Ripper grabs his mask, pulls it off, and then like it's like he's looking at Snake Eyes without his mask, and he drives off, and he's just like in shock. And then the war correspondent guy sees it, like, and just grabs and just burns it.
But also, he was offered 10 grand for this picture of Snake Eyes without his mask.
But that's the point. The point is, it's so bad that he doesn't think it should be seen. Like that, it's like the moral thing of like, should I do this or should I get money for it? That's the whole point of the story.
Right.
Like, it's not believable, but it's like in a film when the same thing happens in a similar situation where it's like, do I do the moral thing or do I do the thing that gives me lots of money? In reality, you probably would do the thing that gets you lots of money. But what they do in films and stories is they try and make characters like, morals, upstanding and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's the whole point of this story, in my opinion.
Yeah. Weakest one for me so far, 4.
Wow.
Oh, it's an Action Force pop quiz. It's an Action Force pop quiz. Question 3. Intelligence profile, codename Beachhead. File name.
Beachhead, that's Wayne R. Sneeden. I know him really well.
Correct. Primary military specialty.
It's obviously infantry.
Secondary military specialty.
He's a tiny arms armourer.
He is a tiny arms armourer. And his birthplace.
New Zealand.
Yes. Want to have a stab at the city?
Auckland.
Correct.
It's the only place I know in
Beachhead
New Zealand.
epitomises the word cool. He never gets angry. What? Okay.
He does.
Right,
I think he does.
That's yeah. He never gets angry, thinking it is a waste of time and energy.
If this is where like the comic character does not really sync with the cartoon character,
Right.
isn't it?
I've never really seen much of the
Pathetic.
cartoon, so.
Well, you've seen him say pathetic.
Shit. Pathetic.
Pathetic. Issue 11. This is Zanzibar on his little skiff thing. He's kind of strafing, who we got there? Outback and Psych Out in the Thunder Machine with a kangaroo at the front. Yeah, the cover's not ideal, is it?
I think it's cool. I think it's fun.
Wildfire. This is written by Dan Abnett, art by Robin Smith. I quite like this one. It's a little bit weird in that for the whole time I thought Outback, they're basically Outback and Psych Out are in, I don't know where they are, Australia, I guess.
In the Outback,
considering there's a kangaroo on the front and it says Australia welcomes you on the sign. They're out there for a psych evaluation of Outback, and they happen across some dreadnoughts. And I was a bit confused because throughout this, Outback's giving Psych Out a hard time, and I felt like he was almost playing him.
Yeah, stringing him along.
But then at the end of the issue, Outback's like, "Oh, please don't tell Hawk, please don't tell on me," kind of thing. And it felt like Outback is a psycho in his proper persona. He says, "Sure, but one thing, Psych Out, you might think I'm mad as a box." But please don't tell Hawk. Please don't give me a bad evaluation. I'm as sane as the next man. And he's all worried.
Yeah.
And it felt like, he wasn't stringing him along. He just actually is, a bit screw loose.
Again, I think you're overthinking that one panel, and it's really just to set up the last panel. That whole comment is just to be like, I'm sane as the next man. Obviously he's not. He's all over the house, and then he shoots at Psych Out's legs at the end and says, "You won't forget, will you?" And that's the funny thing. It's like, he's a nut bar. Right. Like the psych evaluation is like, let's face it, he's going to have to tell his superiors, but it doesn't matter because he's Outback and he's a bloody good soldier and so on and so forth. So it'll be like whatever. But the whole point, I think, is to make him like a nutter.
Yeah. You get some road pig here, which is always nice.
Yeah, and I love that one where he smacks him in the face and then keeps smacking him in the face, and it's got like
with the lead pipe and it changes shape.
Yeah, it's got his head in it. I think it's cute.
Yeah.
It's quite funny.
6.5 for this one. I quite like that one.
Yeah, I thought it was fun, and I also really loved the dreadnoughts in this.
What is road pig driving?
Exactly.
Excuse me, the Razorback truck.
Absolutely beautiful, isn't it? That's something I want to see.
Yeah, that'd be a nice custom.
In toy form. Yeah, got to see that bad boy. Get some Zanzibar in his air skiff. You get the blooming, the dreadnought cycle. It's cool.
Yeah, 6.5 for that one for me. It's an Action Force pop quiz. It's an Action Force pop quiz. Question 4. Intelligence profile. Code name, Zanzibar. File name,
Zanzibar.
File name and birthplace, please.
Oh, his file name was like... I'm never going to get it, but it's like a normal name.
Morgan Teach.
Yes, I wouldn't have got that. I know he's from like no, I've lost his bloody... Yeah, okay, carry on.
The Cayman Islands.
Yeah, I've completely forgot that.
Then we get a reprint here for Coils of the Serpent, another classic from Action Force Weekly.
That was a good one, yeah.
That was a good one. Action Force Monthly, issue 12, all new, all purpose, all soldier.
Super Trooper.
So this is some new dude with a big helmet,
Super Trooper,
big gun standing on the top of an MBT Mauler. Looks like.
Yep, it is. Yeah,
and
he's got a bazooka or a rocket launcher.
Yes, and
he's got his shield there as well. His chrome shield.
This is called Super Trooper, and it is by Steve Allen and Stuart Johnson. What I've never heard or seen of this guy before. Is this a one-off appearance by him, or was he a regular in other formats?
This is the only story for Super Trooper,
oh, right,
I believe.
Okay.
He, especially in the Action Force run, I don't think you really get anything in G.I. Joe comics, really. There's like, I think he makes a couple of cameo appearances in like some very background kind of stuff. But for the most part, this was a mail-away figure, special, and it was a big deal back in the day. And so Action Force did a accompanying comic and story for the actual training process of the Super Troopers.
So is he like Captain America? Is he a genetically altered soldier?
No, they just have a more stringent and difficult training regime.
Right, that's it. Because there were 15 went into the program and only 2 came out.
Yes, and those 2 then have to go through even more.
Flint puts them through the ringer.
Yeah, and I love this. I really, really love this story, and it's just one of those ones that, again, as a kid I loved it, because obviously I sent it off for the figure. And the figure was cool. It was like, I had the chrome gear and the chrome helmet and he actually had Dial Tone's rifle as well, like a chrome rifle, and this chrome shield, which was wicked. And the whole thing was like, these guys are next level super soldiers, not only in our own abilities as human beings, but they just have to do harder stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the things they put them through are just ridiculous. Like, they're fighting cobras. And then there's that one bit where they say, we buried De Niro alive for 3 months in a pothole. Should have been 2, but he got to like it. I love that.
Yeah.
And then they're pulling him out, and you can see all his ribs where he's lost weight and stuff. And I just think that's just hilarious.
As kind of standard Top Gunny kind of thing, they're going through all their paces, and then they get put into a real combat situation. At the end, I
really like that one training thing they do, where that train's coming, and they've got the chain, and they have to jump like across from each other so that the train breaks the chain. And I was like, geez, that's hardcore. Yeah. And like all the G-forces they go through and all that jazz. But yeah, there's one thing that confused me, right? I thought I'd got the names the right way round. Okay. And then I think they make a mistake.
It's Goddard and De Niro, isn't it?
Well, it's Goddard and De Niro, but I think the names switch round, because I'm pretty sure
one of them dies. Which one dies? De Niro.
Well, this is what was always really confusing.
No, because the gravestone at the end is Goddard.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is what is the issue here.
Right.
So the guy, it's De Niro saying, it only takes one of us to fly the plane clear. Get out, Glenn.
Yeah.
Because we both know you couldn't fly Frisbee. Quit kidding around. I said eject, damn it. So I think that what they're saying is that I think what they're saying there is that actually it's De Niro.
Okay, maybe
that
he
is
pushed
forced.
the other dude's ejector seat.
Yeah, and that's the twist, I suppose, at the end, because then you look down and it's Glenn Goddard who's in the grave, and he kind of comes in, he has a go at Flint, and Flint's like, well. Yeah, you had to lose. It's hard to lose a friend, De Niro, but there could only be one Super Trooper. Yeah. You'd have been forced to choose sooner or later. Above all else, the Super Trooper must be self-sufficient. While you looked out for each other, neither of you were up to the job. And then he is Super Trooper anyway.
Yeah, I didn't mind this one. I thought the art is not the best, and I don't like the look of Super Trooper. But it's all right. It's passable. And then, like you say, you turn over and there is a mail order thing to get Super Trooper, and I've got a Action Force pop quiz. It's an Action Force pop quiz. Question 5. Another intelligence profile. Codename Super Trooper.
Yeah.
File name.
Top secret.
Even though we know his file name because we just read the story.
Yeah.
Primary military specialty.
I'm going to go infantry.
Yes. Secondary military specialty.
Covert ops.
Birthplace.
They don't tell you on the intelligence
Classified.
profile.
Very good. Then we've got Snow Chase, reprint there. Action Force Monthly 13. Couple of rattlers. It's called The Blitz. Couple of rattlers attacking, looks like St Paul's Cathedral, maybe.
Yeah, London, yep. So, yeah.
And then we
trash the hole.
Turn the page. We got... It's called The Prisoner, this story. Script, Steve Allen. Art by Robin Smith. Opens with a lovely opening splash page of Destro strapped into a chair with a psychedelic
70s.
concentric circles of different colours. Very 70s strobe effect. Really, really digging that first panel.
Captain Scarlet.
That's probably my favourite panel of all the issues so far.
Okay, good.
Love it. That's quality. Unfortunately, no. Go on, give us the lowdown.
Destro is a prisoner of Action Force. Cobra is waging destruction on London.
This is, just to recap, this is from when Flint clocked him over the back of the head with a shotgun when they're in the snow.
Follows on.
Right, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Until they release him, Cobra Commander leads it directly on the HQ, and that allows Destro to escape and rejoin Cobra.
Yeah. What I quite like here is what the American comic didn't do is they're depicting Cobra Commander in his battle armour, but with his hood.
Yeah, that's something you don't always see.
Yeah, it's a good. Well, I don't think you ever saw that in the G.I. Joe comics, but that's a good look. I like that. Flint and Hawk get into it as well.
Yes, yeah, totally. I mean, there's a lot of Flint is in confrontation a lot in these comics. Yeah. Like he's always quick to to argue or be shouted at. In actual fact, he's not usually the instigator, which is interesting. You had Lady J yell at him, you had Hawk yell at him, you had Goddard, Dusty comes in and shouts that he wants to quit. Flint is getting all of the shit since Trent was killed and is left, and like Flint is now the head of European operations. And it's typical. It just reminds me of any job situation. Do you know what I mean? It's like that guy loses his job. The guy that, not reluctantly wants to be in the lead, but like he gets into that position and he's got to clean up all of this mess. And I feel like Flint is always getting yelled at.
This is actually the Albert Hall is the destination here, because there's a concert for the Bubble Bath Brothers. And just as they're about to come on stage, this is when Baroness and Cobra kind of load of troopers
join up. Oh, the Mamba got the Cobra Mamba in there.
Got the Cobra Mamba in there. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Lifeline.
I must admit, I don't. I know I said I like the art, and I do like the art that Smith does, but I don't like the way he draws vehicles. I find them really basic.
It's static.
The way, and like blocky. Like there's no detail to the actual like curvatures of like the Tomahawk, for example, was effectively a rectangular box with a curved bit on the front.
Yeah.
And that was it. There was no there's dynamic shape to the Tomahawk, but none of that was done in that issue. And it's the same with the Mamba a little bit. It looks a little bit blocky.
Yeah.
Sorry.
As easy as it was for Flint to knock Destro's mask off with a slap in the snow, we now find it's very difficult to actually take it out when Destro's not putting up a struggle. Lifeline
but
gets zapped.
How many times have we seen Lifeline without his shades? Not many.
Yeah, true.
That's a brilliant shot of him, isn't it? Like flipping back with his shades and everything. I think that's funny.
Then Flint comes in and gives him a good old crack across the face.
Man, they love punching helmets. And I like how Destro's like holding his face like it hurts.
Yeah, and there's blood coming out his mouth. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And then later on, Cobra Commander gets back into his hooded or his helmeted battle armor suit as they storm the place with Vipers, Cobra Troopers, Televlob. That's a nice shot, actually. The Black Tomb for Destro, for Cobra. I don't think he'd shout for Destro, but...
No, he probably wouldn't. That, again, is like, I suppose, artistic liberties taken on behalf of a crew that didn't have the same continuity to deal with, I suppose. But
And then, bit strange, Hawks initiated a self-destruct sequence on the base. Not, that felt a bit like overkill to me.
Also, very much a bad guy thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, he's coming across as a bit of a dick over these issues, I think, Hawk.
Yeah, well, the last couple, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, big kind of shootout between Action Force and the Cobras, and the destruction sequence gets cancelled. And then the last page is a strange one for me. All the Cobras are making their retreat through the subway, just walking along. There's a guy begging with, looks like a metal pot. And it's actually Destro's face mask. Why was Destro begging in the subway?
He's in hiding in plain sight. He got away before they did.
Right.
And now he's like just ahead of the game. And then like that's what Cobra Commander's like, holy that face. So he's deformed. We know
well, now he's deformed because he got caught in the explosion in the Action Force base.
Yeah.
Which deformed him. But I still don't understand why he just didn't leg it, why he's actually begging there. But anyway, I'm not going to do this next intelligence profile because it's codename Viper and it's just got one primary military specialty.
Various infantry.
Yeah, there you go. That last one, I'm going to give that one a 6.5, that last one.
Okay, cool.
14, Deep Trouble. This cover's okay. It's got Falcon, who's got a well-named underwater suit with his name down his thigh. And there's two legs.
Hydro Viper.
And it looks like a Hydro Viper.
Mm.
This one is called War Beneath the Waves. Simon Furman on script and Robin Smith on pencils.
Yep.
Go for it.
So Action Force are captured. It's a cutter, torpedo mainframe shipwreck. Brought to an underwater Cobra base.
Yep.
Falcon, Quick Kick and Wetsuit try to rescue them. Mainframe escapes, causes the base to rise to the surface where Action Force is able to destroy it as everybody escapes.
Yep. Interestingly here, on the second page, I like the look of these eels. They don't look like regular eels.
Eels
up inside ya.
Up inside ya.
No. Yeah, they've got the red and the,
Is that artistic license here, or was there ever a version of the eels like that?
Artistic license all the way,
yeah,
mate.
I like it.
I think it's to tie them into the Hydro Viper, because the Hydro Viper's a big deal, and it's they've again in the file card. There's all sorts of cool stuff. They get kind of like spliced with DNA and changed and all sorts. They have webbing added to their fingers and toes.
Yep.
They have all sorts of like weird like biological adjustments so they can breathe underwater much longer, and they have
and all that kind of stuff.
thicker like they're injected with like not blubber, but like kind of like to make their skin more insulated and stuff like that. So they do a lot of crazy stuff, the Hydra Vipers.
And they got, like you said, they got this undersea base. Is there any direct purpose of this undersea base, or is it just a general undersea base?
You have to find purpose in everything. This is a comic book for children. It is an undersea base,
right.
man.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with it being a generic undersea base. I didn't know if there was an ulterior motive for it.
No, it's just a bad guy villain trope,
right.
isn't it?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Cobra Commander's down here overseeing operations
with his hood
hooded
battle armor.
Yeah, good, strong look. The Hydro Vipers here. Has he got flippers, or are they his actual feet?
They're flippers.
Right.
He has got webbed toes, but
okay.
his I believe, but his they are actually flippers.
Big fan of the fact that Quick Kick is under the water,
chosen
shirtless.
for this. Yeah. Interesting that Falcon's wearing a red diving suit with his name on both legs. It would appear.
Yes, yeah, and Quick Kick standard garb. The little twist gimmick here is Cobra Commander. He's got his battle armor suit on, which is obviously gives him extra added strength. And in the end, that turns against him because he punches Mainframe and he ends up punching the whatever that thing that he's holding that is key. What is that thing he's holding? I don't know. Oh, the tax. I destroyed it. I destroyed the TACS. Yeah. Which is what Mainframe was holding, and that kind of worked against him. It's okay. It's a little bit kind of kooky, and again, it kind of ends with Mainframe's there. Cobra Commander's punched this thing that he didn't want to punch, and then 2 panels later, Mainframe's off, and it's the end of the story. I don't know why Cobra Commander just didn't turn around and then punch Mainframe.
And he let you live? That's not the Cobra Commander I know. Oh, he muttered all the usual "you'll pays," but I guess it wasn't his idea of revenge. I have a nasty suspicion he's got something bigger in mind. Yeah, it's not a natural conclusion, really, is it? It's almost like a rushed conclusion there.
It's okay. I think I'll probably give it a 5.5.
Yeah.
Intelligence profile, I'm not going to do this one. It's codename Hydro Viper. Well, actually, you can have a go at the primary and secondary.
Let me think. Demolitions, usually.
Primary is intelligence. Secondary is demolitions / sabotage.
Okay.
I've got a tactical arms compendium, TAC page, for the whale. What does the whale stand for?
Oh, it's like, I can't remember. No, I do know. It's what is it? I looked at it recently because it's in one of those issues, and they actually say it in that issue. It's like, it's okay. So it's hovercraft
is
for the H.
Yes.
It's like hovercraft, assault landing, but then the E is weird because it's like.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Experimental.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hovercraft, assault landing, experimental, and it's got to be something like waterborne hovercraft. Waterborne, okay, yeah.
It's enough to give you the points. We've got a reprint here of Fast Feud from the Weekly. That's a great one, where they attack the burger station.
Yes, that is a cracker.
Absolute killer one. There's an advert here on the back for a couple of vehicles that I've never seen before.
What are they?
The Action Force War Weapon Transport and the Cobra Night Landing.
Yeah, they were only available through a mail away, in actual fact.
Right, yeah, £5.25.
Yeah.
Cobra Night Landing is great. It's got Firefly in this little dinghy thing. It's a quality image.
They're G.I. Joe vehicles.
Oh,
it's
are they?
just,
Okay.
they came out in the regular G.I. Joe line.
And that other thing, that Action Force Weapon Transport, looks awful. It looks about about 10 sizes too small for Blowtorch who's driving it.
I mean, it's just it's like you see at an airport.
Yeah. So it's a luggage carrier.
Those little vehicles and stuff, it's kind of more for like diorama display stuff. So, to help build the base out. So like you've got, the checkpoint and you've got the bivouac and you've got all those kind of things. Yeah. And the weapon transport is just something that you'd have in and around Sky Striker. And so like it's almost like, if it came with the Sky Striker, I don't think anyone would talk about it. But because it's on its own, it's like, it's kind of derided a little bit. But it's kind of serves a purpose, shall we say.
All right, moving on to the last issue 15. This is Flint in, what's that vehicle called?
Persuader,
and he's
also
yelling
Havoc,
charge,
and a Mauler.
Havoc in the background looks like Roadblock and Hardball. No, Cross Country, obviously.
Cross Country, yeah.
And then MBT Mauler. 2 stories in here. The first one is called Knights in Armour. Dan Abnett and Stuart Johnson are the people in charge.
Yep, I like this one. Falcon and Backstop lead an assault on Cobra, like a Cobra oil thing.
Yeah,
like
this is in the Arabian Gulf.
Yeah. There's also a team that sneaks through the pipeline to deactivate charges that are set up. And it's basically like a two-team kind of thing.
That splash page on pages 2 and 3 is great.
Yeah, it's great.
Really
beautiful.
good.
Really dynamic.
Yeah.
I love the art in this. I think it's great. I love how you've got those maggots and gun emplacement sections just like dug in and firing.
Yep.
Kind of like trying to, it's all very military esque, this one, and like you got the pipeline, and you've got I love that shot of Fast Draw, Mainframe, Hit and Run, Crazy Legs and Tunnel Rat, because
the tunnel.
These are characters you don't normally see that often together, or even like, this is the only appearance of Fast Draw in the Action Force comics, and
Yeah, right.
I want to say he wasn't in the G.I. Joe comic very often either,
No,
was he?
He wasn't. He did a little bit on the Cobra Island stuff, and then another one with Chuckles in that Todd McFarlane guest one. But apart from that, yeah, you're right.
Literally hardly in any issue. So the fact that he got like some shine in this, shall we say, because there's that one scene where he takes out two pieces of a maggot that have like, two maggot kind of front vehicles have come up to him, and they're like, we're going to get you or whatever, and he just shoots them both with his missile launch. I love that.
Some nice panels.
Yeah,
here
like
of,
it's really dynamic.
After they've just gone through the tunnel, there's the bottom left. There's a rattler that's kind of doing a flyover over the burning oil drums. That's a really nice panel. And then the next one of rattlers engaging with maulers, and then Havoc and the Persuader, or two Havocs.
Get Techno Vipers in this as well.
This is really nicely drawn, actually, this one.
Beautiful. Packed with loads of characters and vehicles and stuff. Really fun. Like I said, the maggot kind of pieces turn up, and Fast Draw takes them out. And I love that detail of he puts his visor down, and then you see what he's seeing through the visor, which is brilliant. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, and then the Cobras stand defeated at the end. Yeah, I enjoyed this one, actually. I think this was pretty good.
Yeah, this was one of my favourites, and again mainly because Fast Draw is so prominent in it, and and I love that shot of all of the helicopters and stuff coming in at the end.
Yep.
That's really neat too.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was good to kind of end on one of the better stories, I think. There is a tag page here for the Persuader. Now let's have a look, see if I can get some questions out of this for you. What is his top speed?
I'm going to say 50 miles an hour.
His top speed is 50 miles an hour.
Now that was
ding.
Was ridiculous.
This is the ammunition it can carry. It includes
no.
Well, no, I'll give you some HE,
high explosive,
yes. ABF, the first AB is hyphenated.
ABF. No. It's going to be no.
Airburst fragmentation.
I never would have got that, mate.
RAP. This is actually initials it's given me.
Oh, okay. Rocket.
Yep. Hyphenated.
Rocket something projectile.
Yes.
Rocket.
To help someone.
Aimed.
No.
Aimed.
To help.
Assisted.
Yes. Rocket assisted. And the last one. Here we go. APF SDS.
Well, AP, I'm going to go with armor piercing.
Yep.
What's the rest of the letters?
FSDS.
FSDS.
Yep.
No, not a clue.
Fin stabilized discarding sabot.
Yeah, of course I'd get that. Sabo, right?
Sabo,
it's called, isn't it? Yeah.
That is the Persuader, everyone.
Bloody hell, that was hard.
Here's the last Action Force pop quiz. It's an Action Force pop quiz question. I don't know. I think it's 6. File name, Hit and Run.
Oh, Hit and Run's one of my favourite ever characters. I absolutely adore him. He is... Okay, so this is interesting because he was Brent Scott in the US before let me finish. And in the UK, they changed it to Brian Scott because it was more British.
Correct.
Like, I love that because he's got Tiger Force figure as well, and the European Tiger Force is on top of that. So we've got 2 Brian Scott figures, basically. It's brilliant.
Wicked. Primary and secondary?
Well, he's infantry and he's mountaineering.
Correct. And birthplace, want to guess?
Basel and Essex. I don't need to guess. I know it. I literally do a panel on that Tiger Force thing, and I've had to say Hit and Run's like information so often. It's crazy.
Good stuff. Right, last story to cover is called The Mission. Ian Rimmer and John McCrea is back. And this is a Snake Eyes infiltration mission. Laser
Love it.
smackdown on loads of cobras on an island. And what's his actual mission? I'm trying to think. Sorry to drop you in it like this, Snake Eyes. I should be sending a full commando unit, but our resources are overstretched. You're heading to an uninhabited island off Sweden
to destroy a Cobra laser.
We need hard photographic evidence of a covert Cobra laser research station. There you go. Well, not to destroy it. He just wants photographic evidence. But in the end, he destroys it.
That's not what happens. Yeah, he F's it right up.
So well done, Snake Eyes. You that mission up. But
I love it, man. This was one of the. I love this particular style of story because it's all the infiltration stuff and it's all like stealth and it's cool things like Halo jumps and just really cool stuff. And you get to see like the Cobra battle bunker in use, and you get to see like I don't know, it's just brilliant. It's just beautifully drawn. It's really kind of like slick. There's
very
loads
dynamic.
of cool shots. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. And the fight scenes are really cool and amazing. And then he goes and like literally just nudges that Rattler off the edge and trashes it into the just blows it up. It's great.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, that was a good one. Good one to close off.
Although there was one thing that always used to stick with me as a kid was the fact that when in that last panel when as Flint goes to get him and he's kind of comes out of the water, because he's in all black, you can't see him. Like you can only see his visor.
That's
and I used to kind of like have to try and work out like where is his arm in there somewhere? I can't see it. Like it was like that one of those things as a kid I was like trying to work out where he was. It's like when you see one of those like football things like spot the ball, it was like spot the Snake Eyes body.
Yeah, so that rounds it out. Where did Action Force go from here? Was it then that it started appearing as a backup in Transformers?
It already
or
started,
had it already
I think.
Was it already doing that?
I think it was doing that after Weekly. I think it had started doing that after Weekly, or probably even during Weekly. It was getting that because they would throw in reprints and all sorts of different sister comics.
But we didn't get any. This was the end of the original Action Force material. There was no new Action Force stuff after this, or there was?
You still got annuals, and the annuals would have the occasional original story in there. High Finance is an original story where Jinx goes in to infiltrate Mars, I think it is.
Right.
And the whole point of that is that she's an admin, so she gets the information because she's in administration. It's like a cute little thing like that. But yeah, it's really cool. She just shows all of her skills. So it's not the end of original stories because we still have those kind of things. I'm trying to think if there was any others. There was a G.I. Joe The Action Force annual in 91. And that had an original story in it as well. I think it was like a Sky Striker X-30 Conquests Rattler kind of story.
Right.
And that was pretty damn cool as well. In actual fact, like, we're going to... What might be quite fun is to do the Action Force annuals as an episode as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Maybe as another combo, another Talking Force job.
Yeah, sounds good. I think my overriding feeling now, having discussed all these, is maybe I'm not as down on them as I was before we started recording.
You can be as down as you want on them. That is your choice. Like, obviously, the
overriding thing is I wish I liked them more. It's not like, I give this a 5 out of 10 and
totally,
I don't care about it. My overriding feeling is I really wanted to enjoy them more than I did. So that's more. It's more disappointment than begrudgingness of
I feel it too. I feel a disappointment that you don't like them like I like them, and that's that's sad. But again, it's how the world operates, isn't it? It's not we don't like all the same stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times. I mean, we were generally quite close when it came to the G.I. Joe stuff in terms of scores and stuff. But it was always like, we very rarely hit on the same, but it was also really rare that we'd have like strong feelings against an issue and you'd have strong feelings for, or vice versa. So it's interesting that we have such a complete separation here. But then also you love the Transformers crossover, and that's something that I didn't give a shit about.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So there's, it happens, and it's, you have to accept it, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe it's been 2 hours. It's absolutely flown by. Good times had by all, I think. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to that. This will likely be the last you'll hear from me.
Because Chris is all angry.
The last you'll hear from me before the end of the year. Obviously, there's still full force content going out, so make sure you tune into that. But in terms of Talking Joe, we'll be back in the new year, and in terms of what we'll be moving on to next, we'll be sure to let everyone know via the usual social media streams so that everyone can keep up to date. Keep in touch with us in usual places, I guess. Talking_Joe on Twitter, Talking Joe Comics on the Instagram, talkingjoecomics@gmail.com, and Talking Joe, a G.I. Joe podcast. Obviously, Full Force. How can they get hold of you, sir?
You can get hold of us on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Patreon. The Full Force podcast, or the Full Force, just search for us. You will be able to find us easy peasy.
Yeah. Any other business we need to take care of?
I think that's it. I think we've come to the end of this Talking Force.
Yep. Talking Force 2.0. I guess the only thing left to say is have a Merry Christmas tomorrow. Eat your roast turkey, your roast beef, whatever. What are you having for Christmas?
It's going to be vegan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or it's going to be dairy free. So it's going to be an amazing meal, I suppose. My mum always kind of goes above and beyond.
Excellent. I will probably be having a vegan Christmas as well, I think. So.
It's beginning to look a lot like vegans.
Yeah, it is. Scary. I tried that. I made a lasagna with...
Oh, I had that tonight, actually, vegan lasagna. Very nice.
With the Violife cheese. And
okay.
The kid who likes lasagna and loves cheese did not like this one. So
that's a shame.
4-year-old is going to be a massive struggle in terms of veganism. So
well, it doesn't matter. They do what they want, can't they?
Yeah. Well, it's difficult, isn't it? What if we decide we'd rather not give her animal products, but she doesn't eat vegan food? What do? Do you then have to relent and go back to giving them meat, or do they just not eat?
Well, I suppose it's one of those things where if you're being given things, like if you're being given food and shelter and accommodation,
yeah,
then I suppose you go by what the rules are of the house. But at the same time, you kind of want to give everyone a freedom of choice, and if she wants to choose to eat a certain way, maybe don't just restrict her from it entirely, but just say you can have it, but just not, we don't make it. There's got to be a respectful.
Difficult when she's 4 though. She
street.
Can't make her own food. So.
Well, she'll just have to eat what she's given then.
Yeah, or go hungry.
Yeah. That doesn't last very long, by the way.
No. Right. Have a happy Christmas and a Merry New Year. No, that's not even how you say it. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I think I'm drunk on elderflower cordial.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Bye. Catch you down the road, etc.